Welcome back to Past Awakenings. Today we journey back into a world of ice, wind and danger, the Ice Age. But this isn't just a tale of cold and extinction. It's also the story of how humans, frail, vulnerable, intelligent, somehow survived, thrived, adapted, and overcame unimaginable odds. How did they avoid freezing to death? How did they defend themselves against saber-toothed cats, cave bears, dire wolves, and other megafauna? How did small bands of humans expand across continents when the land itself was being reshaped by glaciers? In this episode, we'll reconstruct the Ice Age, trace human adaptations, and imagine what life was like for our ancestors in that harshest of eras. To understand how humans survived, we must first grasp the environment they faced. The Pleistocene epoch, lasting from about 2.6 million to 11,700 years ago, featured repeated cycles of glacial advance and retreat. The Ice Age most people refer to as the last glacial period of this epoch, at the last glacial maximum around 26,500 to 20,000 years ago. Ice sheets stretched over North America, Northern Europe, and parts of Asia. Global temperatures were several degrees colder than today, and sea levels dropped by as much as 400 feet. Entire regions were locked in permafrost or buried under ice. Forests vanished, replaced by open tundras and steppes. The planet's ecosystems compressed into narrow zones. These refugia, or pockets of more temperate land, became lifelines for animals and humans alike. In them, survival was just possible. Who were the humans of the Ice Age? By the time of the last Ice Age, Homo sapiens had already begun spreading across the globe. They shared the world with other human species, most famously the Neanderthals, but Homo sapiens would be the ones to survive. Our ancestors lived in small mobile bands ranging from 20 to 100 individuals. They moved constantly, following herds of prey and seasonal changes. These weren't sedentary farmers or city builders. They were foragers, scavengers, hunters, resilient nomads of a frozen world. They lived on the edge, constantly adapting to the hostile environment. But how exactly did they survive? Let's look at the 5 critical pillars that kept them alive. 1. Innovation and technology. Humans' greatest strength has always been their minds. In the Ice Age, toolmaking reached new levels of complexity. In the Upper Paleolithic, roughly 40,000 to 10,000 years ago, humans developed specialized tools, blades, scrapers, bone needles, fish hooks, and microliths, small stone points set into wood or bone to create composite tools. One of the most revolutionary inventions was the eyed needle. With it, humans could stitch together tailored clothing using sinew or plant fibers. This meant fitted garments, layered and insulated, to protect against the cold. Spear throwers, or atlatls, increased the range and force of thrown weapons, making big game hunting more efficient. Harpoons allowed them to hunt aquatic animals. Burins and chisels helped them carve wood and bone. These tools weren't just about hunting, they were about survival. Building shelter, sewing clothing, processing hides, cutting meat, and creating fire-starting kits. Innovation made survival scalable. 2. Clothing, shelter, and fire. Without protection, the Ice Age would have been instantly fatal. Humans didn't have fur, claws, or built-in insulation, but they had ingenuity. Animal hides and furs were essential, but raw skins weren't enough. Tailoring, made possible by the bone needle, allowed humans to create snug, layered garments. They learned to waterproof seams, select different furs for different layers, and insulate against wind, moisture, and ice. Shelter came next. Natural caves were ideal, but in the open, humans built tents or huts using wood, bone, antlers, and hides. In some parts of Europe, shelters made from mammoth bones and tusks have been found, testimony to both creativity and necessity. Inside shelters, fire was central. It warmed the group, dried clothing, cooked food, scared predators, and served as a social center. Humans managed fire with care, using hearths, fire pits, and possibly even primitive chimneys or smoke holes. Together, clothing, shelter, and fire created an artificial climate that protected the body and preserved life. 3. Hunting and food strategy. The Ice Age wasn't just cold, it was hungry. With plants scarce, humans turned to animals for calories. Big game hunting defined much of their diet. Mammoths, woolly rhinos, reindeer, bison, and horses roamed the frozen steppes. These animals were massive, dangerous, and powerful. Bringing one down required coordination, patience, and strategy. Humans developed techniques like ambushing animals at choke points, driving herds into ravines, or using terrain to their advantage. Injured prey was stalked for hours or days. Once killed, every part was used: meat for food, fat for fuel, bones for tools, hides for clothing. But humans didn't rely on big game alone. Small game, birds, fish, shellfish, insects, and seasonal plants were also crucial. Flexibility was key. When mammoth hunting failed, a diet of rabbits and roots might keep a group alive. Preservation was another survival tool. Meat was dried, smoked, or frozen in ice caches. This food security meant they could store surplus for winter or periods of scarcity. 4. Social cooperation and culture. No one survived the Ice Age alone. Group cohesion was not just helpful, it was necessary. Humans hunted together, shared food, cared for the sick, raised children communally, and defended each other. Knowledge was passed down orally: when to hunt, where to migrate, how to track prey, how to heal wounds, how to read the sky. Language likely played a critical role in coordination and memory, and with language came storytelling, myths, warnings, lessons. Culture became a survival mechanism. Cave art, carvings, and early instruments show that Ice Age humans weren't just survivors, they were thinkers, artists, and creators. These cultural expressions reinforced bonds, helped encode information, and brought meaning to a dangerous world. Social structure, leaders, elders, healers, artisans may have started to form. The value of the group was greater than any individual. 5. Migration and adaptation. As climates shifted, humans moved. When glaciers advanced, they retreated to refugia, more habitable zones. When ice melted, they spread into new lands. Mobility allowed them to follow prey, avoid harshest winters, and explore new territories. Over generations, they adapted to high altitudes, bitter cold, and varied ecosystems. Some groups survived in southern Europe, others in Asia or the Middle East. As the Ice Age ended, these populations expanded into new areas, bringing with them their skills, tools, and stories. Their ability to adapt, to change diet, technology, behavior, and geography was the ultimate survival trait. Around 11,700 years ago, the Earth began to warm. The glaciers retreated. Grasslands turned to forests. Rivers flowed freely. Animals migrated. Plants returned. Megafauna began to disappear. Many hunted to extinction, others unable to adapt. Mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and giant sloths vanished. Humans began to settle. Agriculture emerged. Villages formed. The Ice Age was over, but it had changed us forever. Our tools, our social structures, our myths, and our very genes were shaped by that long, cold crucible. Everything that followed, cities, writing, civilization, was built on the backs of Ice Age survivors. The Ice Age was not just a period of time, it was a test. Against freezing cold, predators, and starvation, humans didn't just survive. We adapted, we evolved, we endured. It was in that frozen world that we became truly human. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into our ancient past, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you on the next one.